Welcome to the TeenTix Arts Podcast, also known as TAP, a Seattle-based youth podcast that focuses on empowering youth voices through the exploration of art. Here on this podcast, we share our favorite artistic topics by exploring their histories and cultural impacts. This week, for our final episodes, we're recapping our episodes this season and talking about some of our favorite art from the year.
This year has thrown a lot in our faces in many ways, but at least we had some good art. Today, Sofia, Olivia, Blue, and I will be sharing our favorites from this year. Blue, start us off.
Okay. I saw a lot of great movies this year, but one of my recent favorites was Sinners. A lot of people have been talking about how great it was, and I was like, okay, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be that great. Like, it can't be amazing. But I was, completely blown away. I was like, this is, one of the best movies I've ever seen. I love, vampire media in general, so I was super excited because I love a vampire movie. But it was great in that regard, but it was also really cool to see, it's set in the South, it's focused on Black characters, and you don't, see a lot of vampire movies like that, so it was really cool to, have, the very common, vampire lore, all of this stuff, but it's, in a different setting than you usually see in vampire stuff.
This is kind of off topic, but what do you feel about Nosferatu? Because I watched that.
Did you see the new one?
Yes, I'm talking about that one because I'm not a vampire movie watcher, but you, a seasoned vampire movie watcher, what are your opinions?
I loved it. I'm a big fan of the original Nosferatu from the 1920s. It's a German silent movie. And I would say both of the new one and the original are on the same level. They're both so good. I love them both for different reasons. But yeah, I love Nosferatu as well. But back to Sinners, the soundtrack for this movie is incredible. The soundtrack and also the sound design, it really stood out to me when I was watching the movie. I love a good soundtrack in general. And this one is so beautiful. And the sound design is so gorgeous. I was just so entranced the entire movie. And also, if you've seen the movie, you know the scene I'm about to talk about, but it's the scene in the juke joint with all of the ancestors and the descendants coming to join Sammy in singing and playing the song. Literally so insane. It's an insane scene. I was in the theater watching it. My mind was completely blown. I loved it visually, thematically. Everything about it was amazing. Yeah, and I love the themes of how it's about how music brings people together and it can bring out the past and the future. And I love that, and I love the historical commentary and everything about that. And there's so many different cultures at play. There's it's just it's incredibly good. I love that movie so much.
It actually sounds so interesting. Now I have to go watch it.
You do. I think
really
it's I don't know if it's still in theaters, but
probably isn't.
Yeah, it might still be, but also when it comes to digital or whatever, you need to watch it. It's so good. And then music I've been loving this year. Amyl and the Sniffers are an Australian punk band. They've been around for a while, but they came out with a new album, Cartoon Darkness, in October. And it's an incredibly good album. You Should Not Be Doing That was the first single off of that album, and I heard that and I literally could not stop listening to it for months. It was my top song last year, and I just it's an incredible song. I listen to it all the time. And I love them because I listen to a lot of older bands that are I don't know, it's just my favorite music is a lot of older artists, but I love Amyl and the Sniffers because they're a new band, but they have an older sound, and they sound like all of the bands that I love from the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. Yeah, and Amy Taylor, who's the lead singer, she is incredible. She has such an amazing presence. Even when you just listen to her and then when you see her, she's incredible. I saw them live back in March at the Paramount. Which was an incredible show. It was so much fun. And then the next day they did a live show at KXP in the Gathering Space. Yeah, I literally was at noon and I was okay, I'm skipping school. I've got to go. It was so much fun. Yeah, I saw them, and yeah, it was so fun. It was a short set, but it was packed in there. They were turning people away at the door. And it was amazing. yeah, they haven't like released the recording of it, but I'm excited because they were like filming it and I was like kind of at the front, so the camera person like kept looking at me, so like I know that like I'm in the video somewhere looking like an idiot, being so excited. But yeah, I just love them.
Oh wait, sorry if I missed this, but how did you discover this band?
Oh, I don't know exactly. I've like known about them for a while because I've kind of just like been into like the style of music. But I think like when I first got into them is when I heard "You Should Not Be Doing That." When that song came out, I was like aware of them, but I hadn't like really gotten into them, and that was when I like fully like got so into them.
Talking about You Should Not Be Doing That, I was actually surprised to hear that they're like a newer band because when I just listened to it, it sounded really similar to all the other music like and bands you've like put me onto. So I actually was really shocked to hear that.
Yeah, that's why I love them so much because like they're amazing. I love them. So Olivia, do you want to talk about your pieces?
I think the first thing we have to talk about was one of the biggest movies of the year, which was Wicked. Obviously there was a ton of hype leading up to this movie, and I also think it's kind of funny because big box office hit movies like this, or when they're anticipated to be that, the marketing tries to kind of lean into the make it a whole outing to go to this movie because it's so easy to just watch things on streaming now. So I definitely I got dressed up with my sister as Glinda and Elphaba. We went to the movie with all our friends. I was not disappointed by this movie. I'm a huge theater kid. I think that they did a really good job adapting a stage play, a stage musical. Don't come for me, other theater kids. But I do think it was ridiculous to make it 2 movies. I was actually when the movie ended, I was low-key kind of mad.
I didn't even realize that it was made into 2 movies, and I left that theater so pissed because I was so amazed by it. I was gonna give such a good review to all my friends and be like, oh my god, we need to watch it again. And then I learned it was 2 movies, and I was like, oh my god, they just I
think that happened to multiple people. My friend came to see it too and was like, wait, that's the end of the movie? And I was like, no, that's the midway point. There's still a whole nother act 2. Yeah, and it was frustrating to me because I was like, I don't think it needed to be 2 movies. It would have been a really long movie, but I do think they kind of drew it out to make it into 2.
Also because there are really long movies out there. The Brutalist is 4 or 5 hours. They could do it.
Also, the length of the first movie is the length of the entire stage show. They made it way longer than it needed to be. And I love Wicked. I'm not I love the movie, but it was a little much.
And I mean, you can kind of see that in specifically in the ballroom scene. It is so long, and for what? There's so many long pauses where you're just is it over? What's happening next?
Wait, so I personally have never seen Wicked, but is the second movie part of the original musical, or is it something that the filmmakers or the directors or the writers just created?
No, that's the original plot, is the second. Wait, how do I say this correctly? They did not finish the original plot. They only did Act 1 of the musical.
Oh, so Act 2 of the musical is going to be the second movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually looking at it and was like, oh, I guess that's a really cool place to stop, because I remember watching it on live, and it was the scene where she's flying off. I'm like, oh wow, I guess it's kind of poetic to cut it off here. And then I learned it was the first part, and then suddenly it was okay, this is not poetic. You're just trying to get more money out of me.
Yeah, it felt very money grabby. But I will say, putting aside the length of it, otherwise I do think it was a really good adaptation. The costumes were incredible. I think the casting was great. I thought that Ariana Grande's Glinda was very good. People might not know that she really is an OG theater kid. She was theater before she was pop star. The grammar in that sentence was terrible. She was theater before she was pop star. I stand by it. But yeah, the casting was amazing. The performances were great. I mean, Cynthia Erivo's voice is just actually phenomenal. No words.
There's so many children trying to recreate her voice in the bathroom when I walked out, and I just heard the riff over and over again. And it's supposed to get annoying, but it really didn't, because I got reminded of her performance every single time.
Her voice is so beautiful. But yeah, overall, I would say the Wicked movie, it wasn't a flop. It was very well done, but it was kind of a money grab in that they made it 2 movies. So I will be waiting for the next one. and I'm excited for it. But the other like piece of media I wanted to talk about was The Last of Us season 2, which is a post-apocalyptic zombie show based on a video game. And the second season of the video game takes place in Seattle, and so does the second season of the show. In terms of like taking place in Seattle, they definitely had like the stereotypes of like it's raining the whole time and it's the music scene in Seattle. Like they definitely had the stereotypes of Seattle, which were kind of fun to see. There was also like a lot of moments where geographically it did not make sense because they'd be like, we're here at this place in Seattle, and then you look up at their view and you're like, no, you're not, bro. Like that's not where you are. Yeah, I mean, overall, I was very disappointed in this season, and I think a lot of people felt the same. I feel like Blue can speak to this really well because you've played the game and also watched the show. But overall, like, the plot did not make sense. It felt so slow. The main character, Ellie in this season, just didn't feel real. Like, the character development didn't make sense. How did you feel about this season?
Yeah. So I actually haven't played the game, but I did watch a playthrough because I wanted to, like, know, like, what happened. Like, I was just, like, I love, like, an adaptation. I love, like, comparing it to the original, so I just, like, wanted to do that before I watched the show. And, yeah, I was, like, so disappointed by the season because I actually like the second game better than the first one. And season 1 of the show was so amazing, so I was like, okay, season 2 is going to be really good. And I was excited for all the new characters because, like, I love Dina, I love Abby. Like, I think they're great characters. But I think that, like, they just, like, completely, like, the writing of this season was so confusing to me. Like, I, like, don't understand, like, why, like, some of the, like, I'm all for making changes in an adaptation, but, like, some of the changes they made were just, like, fundamentally, like, changing, like, very important things. And I was, like, watching it, I was, like, literally, what is happening right now? Like, nothing was happening. I thought that they, like, changed Ellie's character so much to the point where, like, it wasn't even Ellie anymore. And I was, like, this, like, doesn't make any sense for, like, her development as a character. And I was just, like, so upset. But I don't know. It's still, like, a really well-made show, I feel like.
I also feel the need to defend the criticisms because a lot of times I think when there's adaptations, people who are familiar with the OG piece of media will be like, this isn't faithful or whatever. But I think that, like, they have made good choices to adapt things to a TV show because obviously it's different. And I think those choices were very good in the first season, and in the second season were just not quite as good, in my opinion. So that's how I felt about season 2 of The Last of Us. I loved feeling special because Seattle got a little moment in the spotlight, as, like, stereotypical as it might have been. But then overall, I just felt like the plot was kind of lacking. But I wasn't the only one who got into zombie media this year, so I think you should take it away, Sofia.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one of my favorite pieces of art this last year has been The Walking Dead. My mom and I, we love watching The Walking Dead every Friday night with pizza. It's so much fun. It's so good. We're currently on season 9 right now. So I don't want to give any spoilers, but there's going to be a big turn of events, and it is just such an awesome show. And what I especially love about it is that they don't actually ever use the term zombie once. It's only been like walkers, dead ones, just different terms, and I think it's because they want to differentiate their show. So when you hear the term walkers, when you hear the term dead ones, you think of The Walking Dead. Immediately, The Walking Dead comes to mind. But because my mom and I also have watched The Last of Us a little bit, the first 3 episodes or so. And it's definitely, it has a lot of similarities, but it also has a lot of differences. Especially with the creatures in The Last of Us, it feels more high stakes. What do you think, Olivia?
I haven't seen The Walking Dead at all. Blue, I feel like you might be able to speak to this.
No, it's very interesting because, like, The Walking Dead, it's like the stakes are not about, like, the zombies. Like, the zombies are, like, not the issue, really. It's, like, the people, which I think is, like, really interesting. Like, obviously, like, when there's a big horde of zombies, like, that's an issue.
What are they called? The herd.
The herd, yeah. But like it's mostly like the people are like the danger.
Yeah, especially it's this the thing that sucks is that they never really catch a break. But that kind of goes along with the plot. It's like they're safe for a few episodes or so, like when they went to Alexandria, which is like one of their safe havens in the show. Rick Grimes and his group, they went to Alexandria, and for a few episodes, they were safe for a bit from the outside world. It was kind of establish a new form of normalcy for them because, of course, the apocalypse, it just destroyed everything. And then eventually everything went to chaos again. Everything just exploded with the Saviors, which is a group, an opposing group that Rick and his group have to fight. But yeah, it feels like the humans are really the problem, and what the humans do with the walkers, like they use them as weapons. It's really interesting.
Yeah, you'll get like there's like a group later on that's like very like interesting that way.
Oh no. Oh no. But yeah, again, like with the plot, it's so intricate and it's so interesting, and it definitely keeps the reader on their toes. It's like they're safe and then they're not. They're safe and then they're not. It's like you never really catch a break. But one of my favorite characters is definitely Rick Grimes, and I just love his leadership abilities and how everyone turns to him, and it's not that he's like this egomaniac that's, just likes to be in control. He actually wants the good for the group. And the thing is, he doesn't want to be the leader. He just kind of is the leader, He's not trying to force himself into these leadership roles. He just kind of is the leader, He's the leader and he doesn't want to be the leader, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, and especially, it's not just like a show for me. It's also like I see these characters, especially Rick Grimes, and it does influence me in my daily life, especially like with Rick's confidence and his leadership inspire me in my own leadership positions, such as being an officer in National Honor Society. And I see, even though it's like, of course, fictional and it's an apocalypse, it helps me see what a good leader is. And it's nice to just take some of the qualities from fictional characters and just see what you can do with those in your daily life.
Yeah, totally. I really love Walking Dead. I love about the show, I love how, cinematic it is. I think it's really beautifully shot. And it was shot on film for, a lot of the show, which I think is really cool.
But another piece of art I really enjoyed in the last year is the Tortured Poets Department, kind of by Taylor Swift, kind of taking a new turn here. But it's such an amazing album. I think it's her best album yet, because it's just the lyrics are so poetic and they're so deep and rich. And it definitely shows how far she's come as an artist, I think. And especially since she draws inspiration from her own experiences, it just makes it even more beautiful and interesting to listen to. And it represents her growth with storytelling, her vivid imagery, and strong word choice make the album more relatable and enjoyable to listen to. And I can't believe she didn't win a single Grammy for it. I think it was much, much deserved for her to win a Grammy, especially since she won so much for Midnights, and she didn't win anything for the Tortured Poets Department. I think it's totally unfair.
Hopefully this doesn't get me killed, but talking about artists that did not get awarded this year, like Billie Eilish, and the fact, Beyonce, it went back to her again, please don't kill me, but I'm not gonna say much about this, but I get where you're coming from. I might be on Diddy's watch list now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, you're good. But the thing is, it's just, I don't think Beyonce should have won Album of the Year.
Whoa.
I do not think that. Even if Taylor...
You're getting killed for that, oh my god.
Okay. But, come on. It's who has heard her album?
What?
Seriously.
Okay.
Who has heard her
Stop
Beyonce album?
Whoa. No, okay. No. Okay, wait.
When's the last time you heard her album on the radio?
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan, but I feel very passionate about this. It's okay.
Stop it there. but basically, I think she should have won a ton of more awards for the Tortured Poets Department, especially at the American Music Awards. Not that Billie Eilish didn't deserve her awards at all. She did, definitely. Her album was definitely something that deserved to be awarded. But Best Touring Artist, I don't think she deserved Best Touring Artist. I mean, Taylor had the highest grossing, not highest grossing, but the biggest tour of the century. Like, the Eras Tour it changed the entire music industry forever. But again, Billie Eilish is an amazing artist, but I think Taylor should have won a lot more awards for the Torture Pose.
Billie Eilish also did not win. I want to clarify before any Billie Eilish fans come and attack me. I was not saying that she did not deserve any of the nominations. I was saying that the fact that she did not win in any of the 7 nominated areas offended me, and that Beyonce is the problem here. Okay, moving on. I'm so sorry to cut you short. Do you have more to say?
I think we're going to leave it at that. Taylor should have won. Billie Eilish is talented, and Beyonce does not deserve Album of the Year.
No.
Anyways, let's move on to this really cute cartoon that I was really into this year. Its name is Chikawa, and it actually means, like, cute little thing. It doesn't have any pronouns. I'm going to be calling it an it. And it's actually short for Nanka Chikatsuji Kawaii Yatsu. I'm Korean, I'm not Japanese, I'm so sorry. But it literally translates to something small and cute. And I feel like this little thing has been my light of the entire year and my favorite piece of art. It is a manga series that was written and illustrated by Nagano. And while the show seems like a cute little kids show with squeaking characters, you quickly learn that it was kind of targeted more towards like older audiences. Like, one of the characters is literally this honey badger that's an alcoholic and is kind of made to represent a Japanese salaryman or like white-collared worker. And it's found like sighing really loudly, like a lot. And I feel like that really resonated with a lot of people around Japan, but it also resonated with me. I originally found it because I am a sucker for cute things, and I saw like a little pack of gummies with stickers. And if there's one thing I like more than cute things, it's gambling. And so I got this pack of stickers, and you guys can't see them, but they're on my water bottle. They're really scuffed. But even though like I did find some of the characters annoying at times, like Chikawa's always whining and crying. And there's also like Usagi, who's like hedonistic, and there's like a whole bunch of other annoying things, but I have to admit, like, it's really relatable. Like, I find myself whining and crying a lot, and definitely indulging myself a little bit too much with hedonistic things like food. Well, it's not hedonistic inherently to eat, but like overindulging. Especially as I moved through my junior year of high school, I just felt it really relatable. But yeah, it's really whimsical, and it actually also has some really heartwarming like stories to them. Like, one of the characters, Ashwari, which is, it looks like a cat, but it's like literally just called something cute or something. And we learned that it's like living in a cave, and it's supposedly broke. But as viewers, we learned that it deliberately chooses to do so because it saves up all of its money to buy a really nice camera to take photos of its friends, because its favorite thing in the world is its friends, and it really wants to keep memories of its friends. And it really, really is like so heartwarming. And this little like cute thing, it's not even a cat, but it looks like a cat, like spends all of its money buying food for its friends and just eating food with its friends. And it's adorable, and it reminds me of myself.
That is the cutest thing I have ever heard. That is just, oh my God. I'm just exploding with cuteness right now.
I know, right? It's like, you get into it thinking it's like, oh, it's like a little cute thing. It's like Sanrio. I'm just going to like it. And no, there's a whole plot to it. One of the characters actually is like canonically like this kind of monster looking thing, but it steals the body of a flying squirrel. And it like enjoys, it's like low-key a kind of commentary on pretty privilege. I'm not going to get into that. But this like monster thing gets like this adorable flying squirrel body, and is like a little devil in it, and it's like the cutest thing ever. It's actually that one over there, but and going back to my main point, the show really helped me get through the stress of academics and stuff. So even though it like doesn't seem like there's much like artistic value to it, I feel like sometimes some small and cute whimsical things are like what keep people going. And sometimes we're all doing it's good to remember that we're all doing our best, and that companionship is really amazing. And it really feels like this is like my new My Little Pony. Like, I feel like I haven't changed. Like, friendship is magic, and Chikawa is me. So
I agree. Friendship is magic. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. And next, you're going to hear from more TAP hosts who are going to recap the previous episodes of our 3rd season.
Okay, my name is Mykah, and I'm going to be recapping the literature and film episode, which was hosted by Ashwari and Sofia. And then in the episode, they kind of talked a lot about like different books that were turned into like movies or TV shows. And I found it really interesting because I've thought about this a lot, and I also have a lot of strong opinions on like adapting books into movies or books into TV shows. And they touched on Percy Jackson, which I really love. I loved Percy Jackson as a kid reading the books, and then watching the TV show as it came out pretty recently. It was really interesting to hear their take on it. And then also it was brought up that one of the characters in the adaptation was actually casted as a person of color. The character Annabeth was casted as a black girl, and I really found their conversation on that interesting. I really personally love the casting choice. They also talked about how literature and film can be super hit and miss. Like, there's some really good adaptations. They talked about Heartstopper, which I also really loved. I think that's a great adaptation. And they talked about how a lot of times adaptations can be bad, which I really agree with. I think that sometimes like book to TV show specifically can be very good. My favorite book, Normal People, was adapted to a TV show, and personally I think the show's kind of boring. But yeah, they just talked about a lot of different adaptations in both movies and TV, and yeah, it was really interesting.
Hi, I'm Ashwari, and I'm going to be talking about episode 6, which was Practical Effects in Horror Films, hosted by Blue and Tegan. For this episode, they dove into the background of practical effects and continued with like many examples of films for like across time periods to highlight innovation and evolution. And I think that this episode was really interesting to me because even as a more like, casual film enjoyer, it's clear to see how practical effects add to the movie and have like evolved across time. My favorite parts of the episode included hearing about how early effects were done, like in Metropolis with a camera on a swing, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon in 1954 with like foam pieces and manual air pumping. As opposed to, like the super impressive sounding collapsible inner skull that was used for Hereditary, which is definitely a much more recent movie. I really enjoyed how this episode relied on more real and diverse examples of movies with special effects rather than simply going through like a timeline of the history. It made it much more engaging and interesting to learn about something that I honestly kind of just take granted for when watching films. And also, something I thought about when listening to the episode was Conjuring 2 and a really scary like character named the Crooked Man. When I was watching Conjuring 2, I was like, oh, this guy has to be CGI. But I was doing some research afterward, and I realized that he was actually like a real actor. He was played by a real actor named Javier Botet. And Botet basically has Marfan syndrome, which is why he's so tall and flexible in the movie. And I thought that was really cool and shows how like some clever casting and choices can beat the need for CGI, which can often, take away the magic of the movie.
The zine episode was hosted by Darya and Sofia, and they covered what is a zine to the connection to Seattle. I'm also going to share a little bit of my personal experience and connection to zines. So I feel like I've always loved visual media, and I think zines are such a special way to combine art, activism, and personal expression. I first kind of got into zines through fan culture. I did a school project where I made a fan magazine for a musician, Peter McPoland, and it was such an amazing experience. I spent way too long making each spread on Canva, and I centered it like around the timeline of his career. I also reached out to fans to get quotes from them on what Peter McPoland means to them. I thought I would share one because they were all so cute. But one person said, He's one of my favorite people ever. He's so kind to everyone, and he created a community that I never could have imagined being a part of elsewhere. And his music itches my brain. I also did a survey on what music his fans felt most connected to. And this was all so amazing. And I feel like it really connected me to his fans and also the zine space as well. I'm also interning at a magazine, and I feel like it's helped me appreciate the differences between magazines and zines. And I feel like I love them both for what they bring to media, and I feel like they do play a unique role. I feel like zines feel more like DIY, raw, and authentic, and I feel like the words are super intentional because you don't have that much space. And I think magazines tend to have more of the story to them, and then also are a little more professional in their presentation. And it really just depends on what zines and magazines, but that's what I've found. And both formats offer valuable ways to share stories and ideas. I just feel like sometimes they differ in styles and approaches. So my favorite way to look at zines is the zine library at the Vera Project in Seattle. Every time I go to an event or a concert there, I love reading all the zines. And they have so many different types from all the years, from so many different people. And I feel like that's my favorite way to connect with the zine culture.
Hey everyone, my name is Darya, and I'm going to be talking about the first episode of the season, which is focused on junk journaling. This is one of my favorites to talk about, partly because it ties in so well with the topic I covered, which was zines. I really loved hearing Mykah and Caden's take on this kind of raw, unfiltered stream of consciousness style of art. It was really interesting to compare their conversation to what I discussed in my own episode, especially because I feel like junk journaling and zines are so closely connected in how they allow for free personal expression. And I love the contrast of junk journaling being a more personal medium where you sort of write your own thoughts in your own free time, you're regurgitating your own feelings, and it's tailored to you specifically, whereas zines are a more community-centered artwork because the whole point of zines is to share your thoughts with your community and share information with others. And I think that Mykah and Caden touched very nicely on that topic. I'm also pleasantly surprised because I learned a lot from this episode, especially because I have been doing a bit of junk journaling myself, but I've never really dove too much into its historical context. But I really appreciated the way Mykah and Caden talked about the historical background. I had no idea that junk journaling goes all the way back to Victorian England. I always thought it was more a recent thing. And I think it's really cool that junk journaling actually started before zines, because in my episode I covered the fact that zines started around the 1970s, somewhere there. Of course, pamphlets have always existed, but the culture around zines have started pretty much around there. Something else I loved was the structure of the episode itself. It was very casual and conversational, which I absolutely adored because I feel like it really reflected the spirit of junk journaling. That, again, freeform, back and forth style felt like a tribute to the medium, especially because junk journaling's entire essence is collecting things around you, and this conversation was very much a perfect amalgamation of opinions and personal experience and history and fun facts sort of strewed together, but in a very nice cohesive way. And it felt so engaging, and I felt like I was on FaceTime with friends. I think that junk journaling is a special type of creative freedom, just like zines, and I think it truly makes you more aware of your surrounding, especially this type of art. It really gets you to notice the little things that you might want to capture on or reflect on, and just overall makes you a more engaged individual. And I think that's an incredible skill to have, and I'm so glad that Mykah and Caden chose that as their topic to sort of get more people to appreciate appreciate this sort of style of art and just dive more into it and teach people about it, even those people who have done junk journaling before like me. It's still such an incredibly engaging and awesome episode.